Move on.
That's when you live.
What?
Live.
What?
You live.
We're live.
I'm live. Hey everyone. All 18,000 people watching this. Good morning.
Anyo. You never know. You never know.
Stefansky, where's Techeiles?
We're on the Gimel and Beis. On the bottom. Tanyo. Again, this is the time to enjoy every last bit of these Gemaras. 2 weeks of Gishmaka. Basically. Tanyo Hoyer Meyo Omer. Chayev. Yeah, of course, but it's like a guide. It's like fun. It was fun. Look, let's see if he gets so involved in Minchas and Soilas and Hoyer Meyo Omer. Chayev Adam Levarach Meyo Brachas B'chol Yom. We know. Everybody knows this halacha. You have to make 100 brachas. We just had it in Yom Kippur. People going around in shul with psamim. It comes from this Gemara here. Or I think we had it also in brachas. Chayev Adam Levarach. Chayev Adam Levarach Meyo Brachas B'chol Yom. Shenemar V'ato Yisrael Mo Hashem Elikecha Shoyel Mimach. So Rashi says Mo. It could also sound like Meya. Okay, no. Tosfos doesn't like the pshat. Comes up with another pshat. You see the last Tosfos where my Shoyel Mimach. Pirush Rabbeinu Tam. Dahavi Molei. If you look at the pasuk here on the side, it's the last pasuk on the side. If you count up all the letters, you come. The problem is that it's less than 100. So says Tosfos, you have to spell Shoyel, which in the pasuk it says Shin Aleph Lamed. You have to spell it with a vav. Once you put a vav in there, you get to 100. I counted it once. I got to 99. So maybe I have to count again. Maybe it means with the koilel. I'll count it again when I have time. I'll go upon him, it's 100. That's one pshat in Tosfos. Tosfos says another pshat in Atbash, the mem is a yud, the tzaddik, it comes out to 100. Mo. Hey is yud, I don't know how it works exactly. Hey is yud and mem is tzaddik. So 100. Fine. 3 pshatim in Mo. Zog the Gemara B'chia B'reder of Avio B'shapso on Shabbos. Now on Shabbos you're missing about 39. You're missing 39 brachas because Shemoneh Esrei, instead of having 19 brachas, we only have 7, and we don't wear tefillin, so we're missing 39 brachas on Shabbos. What do? So it says Torach u'memalilu bisparmoki u'magdei. So he would smell psamim a whole bunch of times, and he would try to eat. Is there a Gemara here? Extra zvachim? Yeshua, we need extra zvachim. Menachos, I mean. I was trying to pull that off. Yesterday we did game Kiddushin, today's. We don't have? Fine. We'll find one for you. What's over here? Okay. In order to get to 100, he ate a lot of different foods, sweets, different stuff on Shabbos, and he smelled psamim. Some people say that even the Baruch Hu, the Aliyos of the Torah, if you say Amen, you also could count towards it. Fine. Zog the Gemara. Tanya. Remeir used to say that you have to make 3 brachas. Elohein. Sho'asani Yisrael. Today we say Shelo Yasani Goy. We say, like, we mention the negative instead of the positive. So they discuss why. Yeah, here we go. The next one is Shaloi Osani Isha. And the third one is Shaloi Osani Bur. He didn't make me Amoritz. Ravacha bar Yaakov Shami Lebrei. Ravacha heard a son that have a Mavorch Shaloi Osani Bur. He didn't make me Amoritz. Amalei Kuli Hai Nami. I mean, that's like a far-fetched thing to be Amoritz. It's one thing not to be a goy, but to be Amoritz, like not to know anything, a Bur. Amalei Velamai Mevorach. So what should I make a bracha? Shaloi Osani Oved. So what should you do? You should say Shaloi Osani Oved instead. Hainu Isha. Now, this Rashi right here is a huge zgula for Shalom Bayis. And the first pshat. So let's go to Rashi, the last Rashi on the page. Hainu Isha. Deli'inya mitzvahs Isha ve'eved shovin. No, sorry, skipped. Hainu Isha, the first one. The Isha nami shifcha. A woman is a slave to her husband. Shifcha. We'll pause the live for a second. like an Eved to his master. So I went to the art scroll, and I I tried to see what the art scroll has of pshat here. The art scroll ignores this 100%. It's gone. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't even bring a second pshat in Rashi. Kiloi hoya. Look in your Rashi, you see.
There's no Gemara.
Now the second pshat in Rashi, that a woman and an Eved have the same amount of mitzvahs. So we're talking about mitzvahs. Shaloi Yasani Goy is referring to, thank you HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving me mitzvahs. Thank you HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving me more mitzvahs than Isha. That's the simple pshat. So Mamela, what do you gain by sticking in Eved? You already thanked Hashem for having more mitzvahs than a Isha. So he says, Eved zil tfei. So the word zil could mean two things. It can mean either it's cheaper, or zil can mean go. So Rashi brings them both as two pshatim. Either he said, look, a Eved is less, even though it has the same amount of mitzvahs, but it's much less than a Isha. So maybe you have to make a bracha, thanks Hashem for not making me Eved. Lamaisa, Eved is, or it means go and say the bracha. You still have the reason to say Shloi Sani Eved. Zog the Gemara, Torah Rabbanan. Until now, I was having fun with everybody. Now here's your chance. This is a special Gemara for Nachman and for Menachem and all the naysayers. It's their big chance right here. These few lines. This is what all the Pais can bring this Gemara to disprove today's Chilazin. Gufoy doimilayam. Its body looks like the ocean. In other words, its color is blue, or whatever the ocean looks like. Ubriyosoy doimiladag. Now they learned this, that it has the shape of a fish. You could also learn that it lives like a fish. It lives underwater. It doesn't say ubriyase dag. It's doima. It's similar to a fish, meaning it lives underwater. It's not a land animal. It's not a mammal. It lives underwater. Fine. It's not a fish. But it's not a fish, because otherwise say dog. Doima.
It's a mermaid.
It fits very well into. By the way, when we learned about Chilazin, this is a famous. When we learned Chilazin, I think it was in Zvachim. Rashi says the word in French, which means snail. He teaches. So Chilazin is pretty. I think it's pretty much accepted that Chilazin is a snail. Especially today's Hebrew, Chilazin is a snail, but that's how the Rishonim teached of Chilazin. Fine. It comes up once every 70 years. Meaning it barely comes up, and when it does come up, it's 1 in 70 years. It could also mean that it doesn't come up. Sometimes the Gemara uses such a lashon that never comes up. Fine. Techeiles, and with its blood you paint the Techeiles, the Tzitzis, lefichach, and because it only comes up once every 70 years, dama vikarim. Now, yes, because the Gemara says mufurish that people used to deal and used to trap chilazon on Shabbos. It's a sugya in Shabbos. If you could trap, not trap, akopanim, they had it all year round. Just once every 70 years, if that's the case. That came up every 70 years, so it was easier to get then. But obviously you could get it. It was hard to get. You had to go down and get it. It's not that big of a dive. It's only 10 feet down.
People used to dive for sure.
Like when I used to get oysters.
Yeah.
Back in the 100 years ago, 2 years ago, we were dating for.
Fine. Tanya.
It's still dark for
Omar Ibn Nosson, here comes the Geshmaka famous story over here. Omar Ibn Nosson, Ein lecho kol mitzvah kalo sheksuva b'Torah. There's not even the smallest mitzvah, the easiest mitzvah. Shein matan schor b'olam hazeh. U'lo'olam haba ein yidei kama. In other words, if you perform a mitzvah in this world, you'll get schar in this world, but obviously you'll get a lot more schar in the world to come. And we can't even imagine any yidei. I can't even imagine what it is in the world to come. But the chiddush over here is, don't think that all your sechar is in the world to come. You get a little bit in this world as well. Maisa, now tzitzis, the Gemara assumes that it's an easy mitzvah. It's not such a hard mitzvah, or it's at the end of the day, if you're not mekayim it, there's no karas, there's no big oynish for not performing it. Maisa b'adam echad, there's a story shahaya zor b'mitzvah tzitzis. This man, a very interesting man. He was very makbid on mitzvah tzitzis, but he had a little weakness in other areas. Shomash zoyna b'karcha hayam. Shenitelas arba meizuvim b'schoira. He heard about a zoina in a far place that was extremely expensive. So shigirla arba meizuvim v'kovel azman. He wanted an appointment. So he said he sent out 400 zuz. Kishigia zmanoi. Obviously she was very busy, and he finally got his appointment. Bo v'yoshav ala Pesach. The Gemara is just describing how chashiv she was. Nichnasa shivchasa v'armala. She herself, the Zoyna, had a shivcha working for her. V'armala oisi adam sheshigi lechabam yizuvim bo v'yoshav al Pesach. The guy is here. Amrahi yikonis. Let him come in. Nichnas. Yeah, I was thinking about it. She got ripped off. He got ripped off. No, because he's the only guy, only Meshugana that sent it first. Most people, they're not going to trust her.
Because,
they come, here, here's your 400, finish.
Make sure that she would have an appointment.
Yeah, exactly. He's coming from a faraway place. He doesn't want to come for nothing. He's very busy. He's in yeshiva. He has to get back to Seder. So he... Fine. Zog the Gemara. He came in. Sheva mitois. She gave him 7 beds, one on top of another. Sheishel kesev achashel zav. She's very wealthy. So she puts out either beds, or some people learned that it's the linen was made out of kesef, zahav. The top one was gold. As we'll see in the Gemara soon, worth a lot of money. This is very expensive stuff. Uben kol achaz v'achaz sulam shel kesef, and between each and every one there was a ladder made out of silver. Vel yoina, and the upper ladder was shel zahav. Kitzer, talking about millions here. Also v'yoshev al gabi el yoina k'she'eruma. So she sat up on the top one when she was unclothed. And he also sat next to her. Bo, here's this story. Bo arbat tzitziyosav v'tovchu lo al panav. The tzitzis came and slapped him across the face.
Taking it off? What?
He was wearing them.
He was still wearing them?
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Well, no. So I guess it says Aram.
As he's
so
taking it off, it slaps him in the face.
Maybe however they slapped him, they got to his face.
Puts on his towels and the strings slap it.
I just want to be medayik here. It's very interesting that you see that the Jew who was over the Aveira, he didn't try to hide the fact that he's a Jew. He came with his tzitzis. Fine. But it does say that he was a special, that he was very makbid on tzitzis. So,
if he wanted to avoid a chilul Hashem, he should have taken off the tzitzis, and he shouldn't have.
But he was makbid on tzitzis. Tzitzis was his thing.
He's this guy who goes very close-minded.
Now, how does everybody understand the story? Did she see the fact that he got slapped in the face with the tzitzis?
Yes, totally.
I think not. And I have a raya from Rashi not, and the whole story it seems like not. Because look, Nishmat v'yoshev le'al karka. So he went down, he sat on the ground. Va'afi nishmatov v'yoshev al karka. So she went down and sat next to him on the ground. Amaloi, gapel sharoimi. She said she swore in the name of the head of Rome. Sheini manichoscha ad shetomeli ma mum risabi. I'm not going to leave you alone until you tell me what mum did you see me. In other words, she didn't see what happened.
She doesn't understand.
She didn't understand.
She doesn't understand.
She chapped that he got smacked in the face.
No.
Why have some mum?
He went down. She doesn't understand. Tzitzis. She doesn't get it. She doesn't know. She saw it.
Fine. She saw tzitzis hitting him, but she thought it was a mum. Okay. Okay, but I had there's a diak in Rashi. I don't know. I didn't see anybody talking about it, but we'll see soon. Omar law ha'avoida. It's also like a lashon of shvua. Shaloi reisi isha yafa kamoizach. I didn't see a more beautiful one than you. Our God commanded us on one mitzvah called tzitzis. Not only one, but one of them is tzitzis. Because of ba ani Hashem elikechem shtei pam. He's telling her a shtickle Torah here. It says twice ani Hashem elikechem. Ani who he already put on his tzitzis, and he's telling her he's just wearing his tzitzis. Ani hu she'aseh li para v'ani hu she'aseh l'shalom sachar. The double lashon ani Hashem. You should know that I will take revenge on whoever doesn't keep tzitzis, and I'll give a sechar whoever keeps tzitzis. Achshav nidmu alai karba edim, and he tells her they're like 4 witnesses. Amaloi eni mani choschat shetoimeli mashimcha umashem ircha umashem rabcha umashem midrashcha shata lamed b'torah. I need you to tell me exactly who's your rebbe, what city you come from, what's the name of the yeshiva that you learn in. So he went and he gave her, and he wrote it down on a piece of paper and he gave it to her. Now, and he left. What?
If she doesn't know what this is, how does she know?
She knows that guy learns. Clearly he learns.
He just gave her Dvar Torah.
He's a scholar.
Yeah.
What your scholar
is this mine?
seminary
This
is.
was a tzaddik, the guy. He was
says the Gemara like this. The Gemara says she was so impressed with the story that he forgo the 400 zuvim and he controlled his yetzer that she decided to become a giyaris. She went and she decided to divide all her nechasim. Shlish malchus, a third of everything to the kingdom, so they shouldn't prevent her from becoming. It was like a bribe, so that the Romans shouldn't stop her from becoming a giyaris. Ushlish laniyim, and a third. This is similar to your story, Nachman. The guy that you said on Shabbos that the African gave all his money to tzedakah. Right. Over here is a third. Shlish laniyim. She wanted to have schusim to become a giyaris. Ushlish not l'biyad, and she left a third of her nechasim in her hands. Says the Gemara chutz ma'isa matzois. Besides all that valuable gold and silver that she had in her room over there, that she took with her. Ubas the Beis Medrash shur b'chia. It's a shayla if it was Reb Chia or somebody else. Akopanim, she came to the Beis Medrash that she told her to go to. Omer loy, and she told the Rosh Hashiva Rebbe, Tzavei olai v'yasuni giyaris. Tell them to make me a giyaris. Omer lo biti shemer inayich nosat bechon metalmidim. Maybe you're becoming a giyaris to get married, and that's not good. We won't accept you if you're coming for marriage. You have to come because you believe in Hashem, because you have Yiras Shamayim. Says the Gemara, Hitziuk sav miyada. She took out the piece of paper. V'nosnaloi. Says Rashi, it's not just that she took out the piece of paper and she gave it to him. She explained to him the entire story, what happened. Says Rashi over here. Look at Rashi. Hitziuk sav miyada. V'sibur lo yikol ma'ir shel Hashem Shamayim imizgeres. And then it says in Rashi, Lefi sheshama neis gadol shechomer mitzvos shetovchol arbet tzitz alpanav. So I don't know what the word sheshama means. If she was there, she saw it. It just said, no, but she wrote
what it was.
Okay, fine. No story. Nobody's masking to me.
She
fine.
understood.
Okay. I'm a Kabul. I'm the mute. I lose.
That's because you had Techeiles and the Tzitzis when you slapped.
In those days they had Techeiles.
Right, so she
Wasn't she took off a six? Wasn't he took off a six?
That's exactly what you were saying. Persons might be only on Techeiles, and the other things he could be.
You weren't here last night. When everybody wears white and you have a bezoin and you go wear blue, that's makbid b'tzitzis. There's a mitzvah kiyumis of asay, and there's the people of Averis. What are you gonna do? So he told her, go marry this guy. I understand why you're here. You want to marry him. You're impressed with him. You can marry him. I give you your shos because really you became a giyaris for the right reasons, because you saw a nace and you believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And derech agav, you can marry him. Says the Gemara, those beds, those sheets that she how you say yitzia in English?
was going to use for.
She what?
She was
offered. She offered to him be'isr. Hitzir loy beheter. Now that she was married to him, she was able to give it to him beheter. Says the Gemara, Zematan schar b'olam hazeh. So he got his schar. These are the gold ladders and everything. This is tremendous schar in this world. I don't know what the schar of a mitzvah is in Olam Haba.
That's saying the Malyusa or the Griyusa?
The Malyusa. Because the Gemara is saying l'chatchila that all mitzvahs you get a little bit in this world and a whole bunch in the world to come. And as a raya, we brought this ma'isa. This case is an amazing case. The guy is a great guy. He controlled his Yetzer Hara. He's like Yosef HaTzadik. This is he started out bad, but at the end the fact that he overcame the Yetzer Hara is tremendous.
The guy never goes to the Zohar in the first place. He gets nothing. He's like, this guy goes,
He wasn't kicked out.
It's a funny story, that's why.
Don't try this at home.
You're supposed to try to avoid.
This guy goes to...
Look, Rabbi Shomruk said he was not kicked out of yeshiva.
No, more than that.
No, we'll make a shidduch. Let's make a shidduch.
More than that. If he would have been in the May, he would have said he's from Panovich. He came Where are you from?
She goes to the wrong yeshiva. She's like, what's going on?
By the way, Rabbi said there's another point there.
Who went?
There's another small point here that not only did he get the money, but he got the most beautiful person that he's ever seen.
That's what I'm saying. It's such a strange story.
Fine.
The guy did something wrong. And his reward, let me give you
But it's
very funny story.
Why is it funny? It makes 100% sense. A person has...
Fine, but to get the biggest...
I don't understand. I mamish don't understand. You get it?
He didn't do anything wrong yet.
He didn't do it.
If a guy like this... No. A guy
Fine.
like this who spent 400 gold, not the first time
That's-
he went somewhere he shouldn't have gone.
You don't know. You don't know. He only goes for the best. He did a lot of research. He did it.
Nobody
He went for the
spent
best.
400 gold coins like that before checking. He
Fine.
has a whole history
Zog-
with this guy.
He's obviously rich.
And it doesn't matter. From the fact you see a big Yisod in Yiddishkeit. What's the problem? You see Yisod. That's it. The Gemara says Yisod. You misgaber one time in your life, you get a lot of sechar. You can talk Lashon Hara your whole life. If one time you say, you know what, this time I'm not going to speak, it might be even better than Techeiles. I don't know. What? It's not late.
Isn't this similar to the story where the guy sits between two mountains?
Yeah. Rabbi Elazar ben Durdoye. But over there, Yesh Kone Elom B'Shua Achas. Very
There
good.
he took one for the team, he actually died. Him, that's something else. The guy died to do tshuva. This guy, you know,
He made a lot of money, this guy. Yeah, but Rabbi Elazar ben Durdoye,
he died. So okay.
he did the mice over there, it says. He just realized the Zayna told him that he has to do tshuva, and nobody would help him, so he did tshuva himself.
do it
Over
on-
here,
he didn't do it on
it does. It says B'shas Maisa, Hificha.
He was gonna.
B'shas Maisa, it says. Okay, anyways. Zog the Gemara. Omar Rav Yehuda. I think we could say, maybe this sugya is the end of the fun. We're going to ease our way into Menachos now.
This was the most large studio we had in a very long time.
Techeiles is more.
Omar Rav Yehuda. It's the way. It's the Gemara's little trick of saying, okay, now I'm going to give you a good story, but now we have to be serious. Omar Rav Yehuda, talis she'ula. If you borrow a talis from somebody, kol shloshim yoim p'tura min tzitzis. So this is talking about that a person lends you his talis with the tzitzis and everything, but over here it doesn't have tzitzis. He lends you the beged. You don't have to put tzitzis on it. But shula means that you have the right to use it. Not so much like in a shul where you just grab the talis off the bima. Over here, an individual gives it to you. He lets you use it. So you don't have to put tzitzis in it for 30 days. Mikam ve'ela chayeves. So really, midayraisa, you never chayev because it's not yours. But Chacham said that after 30 days you have to put tzitzis in. Tanya nami hachi. There's a similar halacha. Hadar bepundiki be'Eretz Yisrael. If you live in some sort of like hotel in Eretz Yisrael, or if you rent a house outside of Eretz Yisrael, kol shloshim yoim potur min mezuzah. You don't have to put up a mezuzah. Mikam ve'ela chayev. Rashi says a very interesting thing. Rashi says that the reason why you're potter is because maybe you'll take it back. You won't want to live there anymore. So you have 30 days. Mashma, and some people even say that if you're locked in a contract, or if you know for a fact you're not going to leave, or whatever the reason, then according to Rashi, you'd be chayiv right away. Mikam ve'ela chayiv. So after 30 days, you're chayiv in Eretz Yisrael, in a hotel, and in Chutz La'aretz, in a house.
Because they can move you from one room to another anytime. So it's the same.
In a hotel like we have. I don't know what this hotel business is. Maybe in those days it was different. You had more of a.
Fixed in any room.
You know what it's like? They have in America. They have motels. You know, people literally stay there for months at a time.
But they've got the right to move.
Yeah, but they don't really. I don't know. So everybody has a right. So what's this pundiki business? Pundiki, they don't have the right. It's more like a schiros. It's more like renting a place. Says the Gemara, Aval asher chabayis be'Eretz Yisrael. But Eretz Yisrael is different. Oisem mezuzah alter. The first day you move in, you put up a mezuzah. Mishum yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Says Rashi, very interesting. That once you put up a mezuzah, you're less likely to move. It's too much of a tircha for you to move. You're talking about in those days. It wasn't a house like today. A little hut, a little tent. So you're not going to go from here to there. Just once you put the mezuzah, it's a big tircha. I'm saying if you have like a 6-bedroom apartment and the next guy has a 7-bedroom, so you have a couple mezuzahs, big deal. In those days, it wasn't. And also, since you have to leave the mezuzah there, says Rashi, so it'll be easier for somebody else to rent, it increases Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So they make you put up a mezuzah right away. Tefillah shel yad eina makebes. We learned in the Mishnah, and we had a little bit of a disagreement yesterday, and over here we'll see who's right. One tefillin has nothing to do with the other in halacha. In other words, if you only have the tefillin shel roish, the tefillin shel yad got lost, you put on tefillin shel roish because that is by itself its own mitzvah. Omer Rav Chizda leishanu el sheyesh lo. This is if he has 2 tefillin, and he can't put on one for whatever reason. He has a major injury on his arm. He should put on tefillin shel roish. Aval ein lo. But if the individual does not have the tefillin shel yad, he only has tefillin shel Rosh, or vice versa, it's ma'akiv. He shouldn't wear one. Amar Loi, Amarta? Did you really say such a halacha? Amar Loi, no, I didn't really mean it. Elamanda Leslie, Shrei mitzvahs, if a person doesn't have two mitzvahs, chad mitzvah, nami loy leved. If a person can't do two mitzvahs, look what it says there, two. Tefillin is two mitzvahs. So he shouldn't be mekayim one? Says the Gemara, Mikor Ma'asavar. So why did he say it to begin with? Gzeira Shema Yifsha. He held, Rav Chisda held that a person that only has one tefillin, we say, you know what, just wear the tefillin shel Rosh, he'll never go out and buy another tefillin. Nothing's pressing him. So maybe it'll take a week, 2 weeks to get his. No, he has time. Meanwhile, just wear. If you tell the guy you can't wear tefillin at all, he's going to run that morning. He's going to go make sure he gets his tefillin together. So, but at the end of the day, the Gemara says that's not what we do. If you only have one, even if you only have one, you wear one. Says the Gemara, Rav Sheshes, Koil Sheini Miniach Tefillin Over B'Shmoina Asay. No, what do you mean? The Gzeira? The Gzeira is just a Havamina, or the Rabbanan, of course. Gzeira is Gzeira. There's no Gzeira deraisa. Gzeira, in definition, means the Rabbanan. But he took it back. At the end of the day, there is no Gzeira. Says the Gemara, if you don't wear tefillin, you're over on 8 assays, positive commandments. So the few pshatim Rashi, the simplest one, easiest one to say over is, since there's 4 parshias in tefillin, times 2 is 8. Well, Rashi says, because it says ukshartem on your hand, on your eyes. So it's really 4 parshas times the 2 psukim. If you don't have tzitzis and you're wearing, in other words, you're wearing a beged of 4 corners, but they don't have tzitzis, not that it's in your drawer, unless you hold like the man omer that the tzitzis is mechayev. Oiver bechamisha asay. So Rashi brings down va'asu v'nosnu v'hoya uri'isem. He holds that uri'isem, the mitzvah to see your tzitzis, is one of the assays, and it says gedilim tasel lach is 5. The cholkoyin she'enei oile laduchon. If a kohen is inside a shul and he hears where they announce kohanim, and he didn't duchen yet, this is his first time, so he's over on 3. Because it says what? No, Sheva B'Yom Tov is 2. We said Sheva B'Yom is 2.
He was saying it's 8 mitzvahs.
Oh, he's over on 8 assays. No, but it's different. Mitzvah, tzitzis, nobody says that if you're on tzitzis, you're mekayim 5 assays. You're over on 5 assays. Tzitzis is one mitzvah. No, in the Rambam. No, okay, there's 5 components of it and 5 chiyuvim, 5 isurim. But in the Rambam, how many mitzvahs is it? 1. Tzitzis is 1. Tefillin in the Rambam is 2.
And he says it's 8.
No, it's mentioned 8 times in the Torah, so you might get 8 mitzvahs, but it's 1 mitzvah. Right. Right. The exact opposite.
He's saying there's 4 batim and there's 4 parshas.
No, the main part of tefillin is that it says ukshartem on your hand, voilu tofos on your head. That's 2 times the 4 parshas. He makes it into 8 averis. But there's 2 mitzvahs that the Rambam is going to talk about in the Tareg mitzvahs. Tefillin take up 2, where tzitzis takes up only 1. Now you can be over if it says Shabbos in the Torah 25 times and you get 25 averis. So every time you do a mitzvah Shabbos, you get 25 mitzvahs. Or it's mentioned 25 times, so you get 25 averis. It's not 25 mitzvahs. But if the kohen doesn't go up for duchening, he's over on koisev varchu and amar lahem v'samu shmi. It's 3 mitzvahs. B'shleish asay. V'chol she'en lo mezuzah b'pischoi over b'shnei asay. Uchsavtom. It says twice uchsavtom, so you're over on 2 mitzvahs if you don't put up the mezuzah at the right time. V'omer shlokish. Kol ameniach tefillin marich yomim. If you put on tefillin, you get arichas yomim. Shenemar Adonai Alehem Yichyu. If you have a Shem on your head, you will live. That's not the pashtus of the pasuk, with the Gemara's darshaning like that. Ulchol bohem chay ruchei b'sachnimeni v'achayeni. Will heal me. Will make me live. Everybody's going to ask, no, but there's thousands, millions of people wear tefillin and they not all have a richas yom. Okay, fine. Back to Menachos.
Shanim Rabbi.
They're not wearing a big
What?
shoe.
Shanim Rabbi. Doesn't mean.
It means good, healthy, good years, happy years. Okay.
Long days. It's Yomi, it's not Shani.
Yeah.
Okay. Says the Mishnah.
Full day.
Hasoiles. Now, so if you came just for this halacha, and it's something that you probably are not very familiar with before, when a person brings a oila or a shlamim in the Beis Hamikdash, it needs to be accompanied with a mincha and wine. So don't think you just come to the Beis Hamikdash with a male sheep and you bring a oila to Hashem. You have to bring a mincha. A mincha consists of flour and oil. In addition, you have to bring a lug of wine or whatever the amount is. Says the Mishnah, and this is a continuation of the Mishnahs that we had before. Hasoiles v'hashemen ein ma'akim sayayin. Let's say the guy couldn't afford to bring the soiles, the flour, and the oil. So and he has a carbon, so he should bring his carbon with the wine. It's not ma'akiv. In other words, if you don't bring one of those two components, the carbon is still a good carbon. And if you have the mincha part, but you don't have the wine part, it's also not ma'akiv. Now, as we learned in Zvachim, that on a chatos you have to put four zrikas of blood on the mizbeach. There's two mizbeachos. There's a mizbeach achitzoin, one is in the azara, the other one is in the heichal. We're referring to the one in the azara where most of the zrikas happen during the year. So you take the blood and you sprinkle it on the mizbeach. If it's a chatos, 4 sprinkles. If it's a oila, a shlamim, a asham, you do 2 sprinkles on 2 opposite corners. And the one sprinkle equals 2 corners because it hits both corners, and then you do on the opposite side and you get the other 2 corners. So if he misses one of those sprinkles, he only did 1, so he hit 2 corners, or in the chatas' case, he only got 1 out of 4. What do we learn in chatas? We all remember that halacha, right? Chatas is kosher. It's still good. You don't have to do all 4 zrikas in order for the carbon to be yetz. Now, you want to be mekayim the mitzvah correctly, you do 4. But if you missed it, ein ma'akvay zu ezu. Tanur Rabbanan. Now, this is very interesting. This is what we're going to be learning tomorrow. It's in the parish of Sukkah. I think we're learning it tomorrow. Where's the Balkaira? We're learning tomorrow. Umin chosam v'niskeyem. What? On Cholamayid, not tomorrow. Umin chosam v'niskeyem. So like this. When you bring this carbon, we said there's 3 components. You bring the animal, then you bring wine, and you bring the flour. In what order? There's no question that the animal comes first. You shech the animal, you put it on the mizbeach. The question now in the Gemara is going to be, does the wine come before the flour, or does the flour come before the wine? Machloikis. Havei mincha v'achar havei nesachim. The flour comes before wine. Why? Because it says umin chasam, the mincha, meaning the flour, and then v'niskeyim, then comes wine. Okay. Rebbe Yomer, no. Zevach unesachim. First comes the animal, everybody agrees, but what comes immediately after the animal? Unesachim, the wine. Havei zevach v'achar havei nesachim. As the Gemara, now we have a question on both. Each one brings a great pasuk. So what is each one going to do with the next person's pasuk? It seems from the pasuk, first comes flour, then comes wine. There's a halacha that you can bring the mincha and the nesachim at night. Now, we learned, if you remember, in the chaf area that it's not true. You have to bring it dafk in the daytime. So everybody talks about it and they say no. You have to bring in the daytime when you bring it together with the carbon. But the halacha is that you don't have to bring it together with the carbon right away. If you decide to bring it 10 days later, ad asar yamim we said, which means forever, you don't have to bring it with the carbon. And then if you don't bring it with the carbon, then you can bring it even at nighttime. The wine and the mincha. You can bring it, this is the halacha, you can bring it even the next day. Now what do Rabbanan do with Rebbe's pasuk? It says first you bring the carbon and immediately afterwards you bring the wine. Look at the Ziri. It's halacha that Ziri said, Dama Ziri, Nesachim. Over here, Nesachim is referring to not only the wine, but even the mincha. Ein nesachem miskadshim elo b'shchitas hazevach. An amazing halacha. If you put the wine into a kli sharis, it's not owned by that carbon that you brought it for. I'm bringing carbon A nice little goat. I also have a sheep. So I poured in my wine, I said, here's my wine, I'm bringing my wine for this goat. It doesn't become connected to the goat until I shech the goat. When I shech the goat, then the wine and the mincha become that goat. I put in the kli sharis. Kli sharis usually makes it kaddish, but it doesn't connect it to my goat. If I want to use my wine for my sheep, or Shimon wants to use it for his carbon, he could also take it. And that I learned from this pasuk, from the extra words here. V'Rebbe Nami. Now the Gemara says, wait a minute. Nobody argues on this halacha. And nobody argues on the halacha we said before that you could bring the sachem at night. So each one needs the other person's limud. So what are they going to do? V'Rebbe Nami boy look at the ziri. V'Rabbanan Nami boy l'minchasim eskeim b'laylo minchasim eskeim afilu l'machar. So how is each one going to learn the halacha that they derived from the pasuk that they used for something else? You're right. It's a great question. Everybody needs these psukim to learn these halachas, and therefore I can't learn that mincha comes before wine or wine becomes before mincha. I don't know which way to go. However, Rabban have another pasuk. D'chsiv oila u'mincha. When I bring the oila, I immediately bring the mincha, which means the flour, and only afterwards I bring the wine. In other words, wine comes last. Rebbe Nami d'chsiv oila u'mincha. But Rebbe also has the same pasuk. What's he going to do? It seems from the pasuk that you bring the flour immediately after the carbon. So flour would be number 2, carbon is number 1, flour is number 2, wine is number 3. Says the Gemara, you're right. There is no machlokes if you try to bring your wine and the flour together with the mincha, it goes in that order. It'll go oila mincha. First comes the carbon, then comes the flour, number 3 is the wine. I guess we needed a chart for this, right? Ma'aser Shahaya, I'm not last night after Shir, I was talking to Yeshua and he said, imagine if I oversleep and I don't turn on the air conditioner. I said, imagine if I oversleep and I can't prepare Shir. All of a sudden I hear the birds chirping like, what? What's worse? You're not worse. The air conditioning obviously is worse. You tell me what's worse when we're done with the page. Baruch Hashem, we had the story, we had the Agatha on Omid Aleph. But no, if I would have woken up earlier, I would have had a chart. Made it a little easier. What? Yeah, okay, sorry, everybody said we got to finish. Oilo mincha. Elo, the mincha b'akach nesachim. So there is no argument when you bring your wine and your flour, it goes flour, then wine. Doksiv, oilo mincha, because that's a mefurish pasuk. Keep ligi, so where's the machlokes? B'boim b'fnei atzma. When they come by itself. What does it mean wine and flour comes by itself? Like we just said, if you bring a carbon and you decide not to bring it, you want to bring it tomorrow, now all of a sudden it's by themselves. The wine and the flour is not coming with the carbon, so it's considered it's coming by itself. Rabbanan Savri, since when you bring it all 3 together, what's the order? First comes the carbon, then comes the mincha, then comes wine. So therefore, so even when you bring it by themselves, you don't change the order. Mincha, first comes flour, then comes wine. The Rebbe says, no, there's a reason. Since it started b'achila, you're already talking about steaks. So you might as well put in the bread, and wine comes third. But when it comes by itself, the bread, the flour, and the wine, first comes wine. Since when you bring the nesachim with the carbon, the Levim start singing songs. So you see that the wine part is very important. So it's more important, even though today the Levim are not going to be singing the song because it's coming without the carbon. But you see that the wine is more important than flour because it provokes a song. It makes the Levim sing. Did you know this? You have to sing songs?
All the time.
Yeah. All right. We just learned in the Mishnah that if you have to sprinkle blood on the Mizbeach, 4 sprinkles, 2 sprinkles, if you only do 1 out of the 4, 1 out of the 2, the carbon is still good. How do you know that it's good? It says it in singular, not in plural. You pour one zrika al mizbach Hashem Elokecha, and that's enough. Says the Mishnah. Haparim ve'elim v'akvasim. This is also very interesting. The reason I would really learn this Mishnah tomorrow, but I think it's important to learn it now for one reason. Haparim ve'elim v'akvasim einim makvim zezeh. All the cows, the elim, the kvasim, the goats, the sheep. If you have to bring a bunch of them, and the Gemara is going to discuss when. They're not makiv one another. In other words, if you have the cows, you don't have the sheep, bring the cows. Forget about the sheep. If you had a lot of money to buy cows, but not enough to spend on wine, it's better to bring one cow and not all the cows, so that you can have the combination of a wine and cow. Don't bring 10 cows and no wine, bring one cow and wine. Fine. Says the Gemara, Hani parim ukfasim dehecha. What parim are we talking about? If you're talking about sukkahs, kamishpat, kemishpatim ksiv. It says in the pasuk, kemishpat, and kemishpat is la'akiv. Every cow has to be counted for, every goat has to be counted for, they're all one piece. Elo, the Rosh Chodesh, Vatzares, the Chomesh HaPikudim. Okay, this we'll learn tomorrow. It's a whole sugya. I just wanted to say this thing about Chag HaSukkos. The mention of Sukkos on Erev Sukkos is a very big thing. Have a great Yontif. Tomorrow the schedule is 5:30 at Bnei Yeshivas, 45 minutes before Mincha.
Right side, the other right side. Top of the right.
He just erased the whole video. Don't let him do it.
Top of the right.